Alright, are we rolling? Are we rolling? It's been a fucking while, dog. I've been at work for 2 weeks plus since my last video. I am beat. But I think it's finally time you hear my reaction to the 2026 NFL Draft. Today, I have covered this entire whiteboard with information for everyone to consume. And I'm going to be explaining who I think have, of the rookies that have been drafted, or undrafted actually, I have a couple undrafted guys here, but I'm explaining which rookies have the highest upside. And by that I mean ceilings, who's going to potentially give you phenomenal fantasy football production. I'm not looking at rookies who have a good chance of being good, but not great. I'm looking at guys that have maybe a slim chance if that, but if that chance hits, these guys are going to be amazing. And in this 2026 draft class that is phenomenally shitty in terms of the quality of production, you don't want to be swinging for the middle of the road players, which there are quite a few that will be okay in this class. But these are the few that I truly believe have a chance to be amazing and rise above the rest and become stars at the NFL level. I'm not saying it will happen, but there is a chance. And when you're doing a draft, it's basically like doing a coin flip or a lottery. You want to pick the lottery that has the biggest payout, or at least that's how I'm going to be approaching this draft. So without further ado, let's get into my winners and highest upside players of the 2026 NFL Draft. Broken down between positions, I'm going to start with the quarterback here. I have two players on the quarterback position that I believe have the highest upside. Number one, not a surprise, but maybe do a few. I have Fernando Mendoza on here. Fernando Mendoza shocked me today because I did a mock draft in Sleeper. I have to clarify the app. I did a mock draft in Sleeper, and he went as I had pick 110, and he went as 110. Or he was available to me at pick number 110, which is shocking to me. You're telling me there's 9 players better than Fernando Mendoza in this shitty draft class? I don't think so. Apparently, the people playing Dynasty on Sleeper think so, but that'll be to my advantage. If you leave me Fernando Mendoza at the 110, holy hell, will I be excited. That was shocking to see where he is going in Sleeper drafts at the moment. I would take him a lot earlier. I won't give away my secrets. I'm drafting here in a month, but I would consider him a lot earlier than that. Okay, Fernando Mendoza, what do I like about him? This has nothing to do with him as a football player, but he has a solid head on his shoulders. And when I see a guy going into the NFL that is just uber mature and just able to handle everything that the NFL throws at them, controversy, scandal, press conferences, dumbass questions after the games or before games, whatever. He can handle it and he answers them great. I've listened to him answer some questions and he answers them phenomenally. In the most, it may not be what he truly thinks, but the most politically correct, team correct, he's trying to boost team morale or whatever, because he answers these questions amazingly, and I think he is just a phenomenally intelligent individual. And you want that at the quarterback position, which is a intelligent position. Drafted low, we talked about it. Get him as a steal, dog. Like, come on, bro. You may be able to steal Fernando Mendoza if you're drafting soon. I would think the reason why he is going so low is because people think he's not going to do amazing his first year. And, that is a possibility. The Raiders the Raiders signed Kirk Cousins, who I think is an ideal mentor. But unfortunately, I think the Raiders are seriously considering starting Kirk Cousins for at least the first year. And, that doesn't bode well for Fernando Mendoza's early first-year production. But, dog, come on, he's a quarterback, and we're playing Dynasty. This could be, after Kirk Cousins finally gives out, which after this year I think he's got maximum 1 year left of decent starter play, Fernando Mendoza is going to take right over, and Mendoza is going to be the Raiders' quarterback for the next 10 years. All right, I want that stability on my Dynasty team, and I think anyone with a brain would want that. And not only is he just going to be a starter, I think Fernando Mendoza is going to be a phenomenal starter. I think he's going to be one of those top 5 quarterbacks that every year go early in drafts and then you don't see a quarterback for the next 5 rounds, when you're doing startups or redraft. I think he's going to be lumped in with the guys that right now we think of as the Josh Allens or the Lamar Jacksons. I think he's going to be in that caliber when he hits his prime. Come on, man, you got to jump on this opportunity. That's what I'm thinking when I watch Fernando Mendoza. I see a phenomenal prospect. I don't think a lot of people see that. And I think they're going to be sorely missing out when they don't get Fernando Mendoza. And the last point I have is he's a survivor. Let's say Kirk Cousins is shit like we think he is, and they decide to actually roll out Fernando Mendoza early in his first year. And let's say he actually gets playing time in his rookie year. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, and what I mean by that is it's the Raiders, and they're still not a good team. Even after a decent draft, they're still not a good team. He's going into a bad situation, just as Ashton Jeanty went into last year. Fernando Mendoza is not going to be flush with weapons this first year. Their wide receiver one, besides Brock Bowers, is Trey Tucker or Jalen Naylor, who are at best wide receiver 3s on competing teams. Not good. There's going to be a lot of mistakes. I think Fernando Mendoza is going to make a ton of mistakes his first year, and a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, like I told you so. He was just a college quarterback. Dog, everyone makes mistakes. And the Raiders are not the team to go to if you think you're not going to make mistakes. There are going to be a ton of mistakes, but he's going to have the leash to do that. And he's going to learn, and he's going to come back better and better and better every year. And I see him on a Caleb Williams type trajectory, where Caleb Williams' first year was not what, let's just say, didn't live up to the hype. And then last year you were able to get him in startup drafts, like really, really late. It's kind of like a picking QB last strategy, and he turned out great. I think the exact same thing from Fernando Mendoza. I see him at his prime having a floor of like Justin Herbert, of just a solid, above average, like top 10 quarterback for fantasy. And I think at his ceiling, you're looking at a Josh Allen, which is, those are like fantasy gems. So, enough about Fernando Mendoza, but I like to think that my take is kind of zigging when others are zagging, so believe me, you want him. Number 2, Taylor Green. Who the fuck is that? Well, he was actually, I think, the 5th? I think he was the 5th quarterback taken. The Browns took him, which has its ups and downs. The Browns are also arguably a worse organization than the Raiders, and it's not a good situation to go to. And number 3, the Browns just suck, and the Browns have been rebuilding for the last 30 years, so who knows if they're ever going to be good. And you want guys on good offenses, so that's not a good start going to the Browns. But what is good about Taylor Green going to the Browns is that their quarterback room is wide open, okay? Shedeur Sanders, is not a starting NFL quarterback. I'm sorry. He was okay in college, and he was okay. Maybe that's stretching it last year. But he's not who you want starting. I'm sorry. That was just what it came down to. They threw Joe Flacco out there, then traded him. Then they threw Dylan Gabriel out there, and he stunk. And then they traded away Kenny Pickett, and they were left with no choice but to start Shedeur Sanders. And I think a lot of people think he's going to continue to start, but that was just a desperation. I have no one else to play start. So now they have guys. Deshaun Watson is coming back, and Taylor Green just got drafted, and I believe it was the 5th round. That is not great, but it's good news, because if you're Taylor Green, you have to compete with Shedeur Sanders, who had a horrible rookie year, and you also have to compete with Deshaun Watson, who has been out with an ACL injury, or was it Achilles injury, some major injury for like the past 2 years. Not much competition there. I do see them leaning towards Deshaun Watson, if we're being honest. They paid him so much money. I think whoever made that decision doesn't want to look like a complete idiot. I think they want to at least get a year of production out of him, even though it's not going to do anything for anybody. But the reason I do think you're taking Taylor Green is maybe he gets injured again, and then he steps in, and it's kind of a coin flip. Taylor Green has physical specimen, like statistics, attributes. His body type, I think he's 6'6", which I love a nice tall quarterback. I don't like the Kyler Murray, the Diego Pavia, those type. I do not like those players. I like a nice tall guy. I can see over and is just a man among boys. And I mean, there's a coin flip chance. Like I said, Taylor Green could be Anthony Richardson. Just another physical quarterback that never actually could play football. Which there's a real concern that Taylor Green doesn't know how to play football. If you do watch him, he looks like he started playing football maybe a couple months ago, maybe, which is not good. But he's got the skills, or not the skills, I'm sorry. He's got the physical attributes, and you can't teach that. He's already got that. So you got to take a coin flip on these athletic freak guys. And I'm a huge athletics guy. I like my players to just be able to be men among boys, in a sense. And the last side note is he's going as a quarterback, or that's what position he's assigned in Sleeper, and I'm sure every other fantasy app that you may use. But I believe that there may be a chance that he plays wide receiver. And if you're getting wide receiver production out of a guy you can put in a quarterback slot, especially if you're playing Superflex, dog, come on, bro. That is a cheat code. That would actually be really fun if they converted him to wide receiver or had him play a bit of both. That would be really fun, and I think the NFL needs some cool story like that. And that would be a way for people, or for the Browns, to get people to watch them. Heck, that's the first challenge. I mean, football is a business. You need people to watch you. And if you have a freak like this guy playing wide receiver, yeah, I'd watch. Okay, so those are my quarterback upsides. Only 2. Every other quarterback I'm looking at is not the greatest in terms of what they can achieve. There's guys that are better quarterbacks. Like, obviously, Ty Simpson is a better quarterback than Taylor Green. I don't have him on here because Ty Simpson ain't going to be nothing more than Ty Simpson. Okay? And that's not who I'm going to ever start in a single quarterback league, ever. Even when he becomes the starter a couple years down the line. I will make a whole video on guys that I would avoid. He may be on there. But I'm not saying there's anything wrong with him, but I will make a video about this is the winners of the draft. I want to make a video about the losers of the draft, or the ones that I think are going to be complete, decoys or shiny gems that people are going to want to draft that are going to be duds. So we've covered the quarterbacks. Let's talk about tight ends. Once again, I kind of jotted a line here to separate the wide receivers from the tight ends, but I only have 2 on the tight end list, and these are not the 2 you're used to hearing about. My tight end with the highest upside is Eli Stowers. You might have heard of him. I mean, he's been regarded as the second highest tight end, or second best tight end in this class. He's going as such in drafts. He's going much later than the first tight end that people are regarding as the best in Kenyon Sadiq. Notice I do not have Kenyon Sadiq on here. I will talk about why I don't like Kenyon Sadiq in a later video. Why I do like Eli Stowers as my number one highest upside tight end is because he was built for fantasy football. What do I mean by that? He doesn't do shit but get you fantasy football points. That is his sole purpose on this earth, is to get you fantasy football points. The brother cannot play any other position other than catch the motherfucking ball position, which is what you need in fantasy football. He is not going to be out playing tight end as a blocking tight end, which a lot of people are in this draft. I believe every tight end drafted after Eli Stowers is drafted to be a blocking tight end. Eli Stowers is a skinny son of a bitch. He's skinny and tall and fast and can jump high. And I love it. Those are traits of someone who's just going to earn you points, and that's all he's out there to do. He's going to make these contested grabs. He's going to jump higher. He reminds me of an Isaiah Likely plus, because Isaiah Likely is still stiff as a beetle, and Eli Stowers, I don't see that. Eli Stowers would be one of the best wide receivers if that was his position. Heck, he might as well just be a wide receiver because, I mean, the fuck else is he going to do at tight end? But that player profile, man, you got to love that player profile. He is going to be getting you points, and he's drafted as such. The intent of the Eagles when they picked Eli Stowers was not like, we're going to pass the ball to Dallas Goedert, and then we're going to have Eli Stowers out there blocking. No to the fuck no. They draft Eli Stowers with one intent, and that is to use him for the only thing he is good at, catching the ball, which if A.J. Brown will depart, is going to be a big void that needs to be filled. So Eli Stowers, I am enamored, in love, infatuated, all the N-words. Pause. Holy fuck. E-N. Eli Stowers. I'm in love with him. And QB. Eli Stowers used to play quarterback. That means he's a smart guy, all right? And he's going to be more in tune with, hopefully, his quarterback, which may or may not be Jalen Hurts. And I don't know how in tune you can get with that guy. He has a mind of his own sometimes. But I like the fact that he's played quarterback. He knows what they're looking for. He's played both sides. It's kind of like working a job when you work, the back end and the front end. You understand more after you've seen both sides of the job. So Eli Stowers, Doug, I mean, at his high end, there's a very high ceiling. I don't want to be throwing out crazy player comps, but you name a top catching tight end in the league right now, Cardinals, you might get an Eli Stowers that'll look a lot like that. Mike Trigg. I didn't know who Mike Trigg was before I started looking at these prospects, to be honest. But he's a film guy. Michael Trigg is a guy, when you watch the film on him, he looks like he's good at football, which is something I can't say a lot of out of guys in this draft class. I mean, this guy is legitimately good at the sport, which at the end of the day is what we're looking for. We're drafting people that can play chess, not checkers, man. And Michael Trigg is phenomenal at football, and his film just jumps off. I mean, he's just eye-catching. He's just an athletic guy. Like, I like what I've seen out of Michael Trigg. And then he goes and gets undrafted. And I'm like, what the fuck? And they're drafting all these random, white tight ends, and it's like, I love a white tight end. I love the Mark Andrews mold, but damn it, you gotta get Michael Trigg, dog. Like, come on, bro. I don't know what these teams are talking about, but he ended up signing undrafted free agent with the Dallas Cowboys, I believe. And if you read into it, there's a story that Michael Trigg had some character concerns, and these are good. I think maybe that's why he fell in drafts. That's at least what I've heard and read and seen what other people are saying. And when I see a guy that has such eye-popping film, that makes sense. I don't think the NFL wants to deal with these people anymore. I mean, since you had, if you don't think he's going to start right away, why are you going to take him and deal with bullshit? I think since the Colin Kaepernick fiasco, I think the NFL is moving away from knuckleheads. Like, if you're not going to contribute, then why the fuck are you going to make us put us in a negative light? And I think that's what people are scared of with Michael Trigg. I don't know what's wrong with the guy. I do admit he is a scary guy. You look at his pictures, he looks scary. He looks like he'd beat your ass. And I don't know, man. If I can coach him up, that's the type of guy I want on my football team. I want someone who's going to beat your ass and someone who, instills fear in his opponent's eyes. Like, this is a scary dude. Like, in all senses of the word. And that's who you want on your team, not against you. He is an athletic freak. We talked about that. He's a ball hawk. He makes athletic plays. And when you talk about the reason for him getting undrafted, I just see that as an opportunity to get more value out of him, meaning you don't have to spend an actual draft pick Maybe you can pick him up off the waiver wire. Maybe you can pick him up in the 4th round when if he got drafted, he would have gone in the 3rd or the 2nd. Who knows? But now you can get him for cheaper, and he's still the same player. He didn't not get drafted because he's bad at football. He didn't get drafted because people didn't want to deal with him. And he went to the Cowboys, which has quite a few knuckleheads, George Pickens, on it. So he'll fit right in with a bunch of friends there. So Michael Trigg, those are my tight ends. So we've got 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends down. I'm going really fucking slow. I realize this video is going to be really long. I'm going to try to speed it up here. Running backs. These are the positions we actually care about, the skill positions, running backs and wide receivers. As to no one's surprise, the highest upside is Jeremiah Love. And I'm not just pointing the obvious out here. If I was pointing the obvious out here, I would have listed Kenyon Sadiq on the tight end, and I would have listed Carnell Tate and Jordan Tyson in the wide receiver. I don't have those guys. But every once in a while, when you're talking about high upside, you truly can't ignore the best guy in the draft. Jeremiah Love is one of the best running backs I've ever seen. Not just in the draft, period. I mean, I don't know what I have to say about Jeremiah Love. I can go on for an hour as to why he's so good, but you don't get Bijan Robinsons just waltzing into the league very often. You got to take him when you get him. Don't trade away your 101 for shit. Unless you're trading to me. I would love to have Jeremiah Love. Pun intended. All right, next up. We don't need to talk about Jeremiah Love anymore, so we got Demond Claiborne, not Desmond Claiborne. I thought his name was Desmond. There's no S. It's a Demond. Never heard of that name. You learn something new every day. Demond Claiborne out of Wake Forest, I believe. I don't know why I hesitated with that. I've watched a lot of his film. I should fucking know what team he plays for. I almost most positive is Wake Forest. Let's see what I wrote here about him. Jeez. I am struggling to write my notes, but I can tell you what I do know about him. He is a skillful player. Another player that's just good at the game. And you know what? He's good at his position. When you watch his film, he makes people miss. He is elusive. He is quick. He has little, twist. And he gets around the corner, and he turns the corner and accelerates. And damn it, I just love to see that after watching all these running backs in this 2026 class just look like turds on the field. It's nice to actually watch a guy that wows you on the film. And Demond Claiborne wowed me. And I said, wow, this guy's actually a really good running back. And you know who saw that? The Vikings. The Vikings saw that he was a really, really good running back, and they took a chance on him. He was a day 3 running back, but so was everyone. I don't think there's 3 running backs in the first 2 days, and then now you have Demond Claiborne. So that's when the rest of the running backs went. He was consistently lower on prospect boards than a lot of the top running backs. But as with many of the top scouts, they realized he was good, and the NFL realized he was good. And he's waltzing into the Vikings RB room that is wide open. Aaron Jones, I believe, is the starter. Aaron Jones is about as old as my grandfather. So I don't see that being an issue with a young, fast guy full of juice like Demond Claiborne taking that from Aaron Jones. And they have Jordan Mason, who plays good as a backup, but you can't start Jordan Mason. You have to have a guy in front of Jordan Mason. And Demond Claiborne can catch the ball. So that gives him availability to play snaps that maybe would have gone to Aaron Jones. Because Aaron Jones is a good pass-catching running back. Well, Demond Claiborne, you can pat Aaron Jones on the back and say, listen, it's okay. You can go retire in Cancun. It's my team now. And he has a great chance to do so. If he doesn't take over, well, it's because the Vikings didn't use him. Because the Vikings drafted him. I know he doesn't have the highest draft capital, but if they're smart, they're going to try to squeeze this lemon and get as much juice out of Demond Claiborne as possible. He is my second highest upside in this entire draft. To be just a guy that you just love to see. I think Demond Claiborne kind of reminds, I don't know, he reminds me of a lot of players, but kind of like some late round hits, like Chase Brown, who just does everything for Cincinnati. And I see Demond Claiborne doing that. Let's see if I can try to read any of these notes. So we talked about skills, we talked about his great room. Okay, that says Bucky Irving is what I was trying to translate. That was my initial player comparison. If Bucky Irving can be a running back 1 and start in this league and be successful in this league, then so can Demond Claiborne. All right, damn it. That's the end-all be-all. I've seen Bucky Irving thrive, so can he. Next up on the list, Eli Heidenreich, a running back who is white. You don't see that very often, besides Christian McCaffrey. That is also Eli Heidenreich's comparison in my mind. Now, I'm not saying he will ever be Christian McCaffrey, and he has a 99.9% chance to never be on that level of Christian McCaffrey. But damn it, do they look similar. Specifically the catching. If you haven't noticed a theme, I love running backs who can catch. On my own teams, I don't get running backs who are just bowling ball running backs. I don't get like Josh Jacob type players who are phenomenal in their own right. I get players who can catch the damn ball. That's why my fantasy teams are always good. And I wish people would listen to me, which is why I'm putting these videos out. But pass catching running backs give you 2 ways to get points. You get the yards if you have an elusive back, but you get the receiving PPR points. You're playing PPR as well. Devon Achane, I'm looking at you. That is why I fell in love with Devon Achane, and I've drafted him in every single team I have built in the past 3 years. 2 years, maybe. 3 years, yeah. And Eli Heidenreich fits that. Eli came from Navy, which is a very weird football program. He has led the program in receiving yards. Are you kidding me? As a running back? So this guy can catch and he can flat out play. And what I like about that is the Steelers just need a dirty slot receiver. They have all these big motherfuckers on the outside, like DK Metcalf and who's the other guy, Michael Pittman, and these guys that look like the Incredible Hulk. And I get it, that's your stereotypical, like what you want a football player to look like. But there's room, and there is a situation where Eli Heidenreich will play receiver for the Steelers. Is their little, number 3 slot option under the middle or over the middle type of stuff that he was doing at Navy, and he has the skills of a running back. So when he catches the ball, he's gonna fucking make people miss. I mean, I am in love with what the Steelers have done with Eli Heidenreich. I think if you're a Steelers fan, you have to be in love with this pick. I know they did draft Jeremy Bernard as the number 3 receiver, and I believe they still have Roman Wilson somewhere, but he hasn't done shit in the past couple years, so why do we think he's going to do shit this year? Roman Wilson, get out of here. You look like a 5-year-old is what I would tell him. This is Eli Heidenreich's wide receiver room. As a running back, you can plug him into your fantasy lineup, and if you're getting a guy who can play wide receiver, but you're playing him as a running back, and you're getting that combination of fantasy points, man, you gotta love it. This is my sleeper of the draft, and I hope he's available in like the 4th round for me to take. I think a lot of people are gonna sleep on him because he's white, and that's not particularly the greatest thing to be if you're an NFL running back. But I'm not sleeping on him, man. I am not. So, let's see. Desmond Reed. One more thing about Eli Heidenreich. Even if he doesn't do shit and he can't carve out a role as a running back and he can't carve out a role as a wide receiver, guess what? He's always going to be on an NFL team because he is exactly who I want to play special teams. He will have a long career in the NFL, even if you never hear about him. So next up, Desmond Reed. Just this short little fucker. He's 5'6", and he runs like a little ant running around the field. But damn it, he looks good. I mean, he's never going to be a good NFL running back at that size. I just don't see it. But it's just like, you can't deny when someone's like a showmanship guy. Like, he just looks good when he plays football. And Desmond Reed going to the Bills, I think he's going to be the replacement for Ray Davis, who was a failure. And I mean, yeah, he's going to see the field. That's what the Bills do. They put their running backs out there anyways. I know they have James Cook, the number 1 guy, but I mean, like, Ray Davis saw the field a ton, and this guy's obviously better than Ray Davis. He's never going to be a number 1 guy. It will never happen. But he's going to be a cool waiver wire guy. I don't see him going in the first 4 rounds of any rookie drafts. But he's a guy that if James Cook goes down, I mean, I'd be willing to pick him up for a couple weeks, and he would have a decent upside. He's not just some lumbering, ill mobility guy. So, Desmond Reed, not a lot of people have heard of him. I like him. Out of Pittsburgh, I believe. What do we got? Moving on to the wide receivers. So, the last and probably arguably the most important skill position in fantasy football. So, you're going to want to pay attention here if you made it this far. Notice where my list starts. Chris Bell, who is like, I don't know, the number 8, 7 ranked wide receiver in this rookie class. There's like 5 or 6 guys that I did not mention in terms of upside. Number 1, because we've heard all about them and they're going to be good. I'm not going to tell you why Cardell Tate's going to be good. I'm not going to tell you why Jordan Tyson's going to be good, or Makai Lemon. The difference with those guys is I see a lot of ways that they can fail. And to have a high draft pick with a guy that they can fail is scary. Now, Cardell Tate, I don't think will ever fail. He is a fail-proof guy, but his upside is high. But I'm not telling you about Cardell Tate. You've heard all about him. And there are things that could go wrong with Cardell Tate, by the way. Not his fault, but I don't know if Cam Ward is actually that good of a quarterback. That's all I'm going to say. So, it may not be as good of a situation as we think. Jordan Tyson, I'm not talking about him. He's a phenomenal player, but things could go wrong with him and ruin his upside. He's an injury-prone guy. Like, he gets injured all the time. I hate receivers that just, every time they go up and catch a ball, they come down and they're crying in pain. That shit pisses me off. Reminds me of Drake London sometimes, but like, damn. I don't want that. And also, dude, I don't know if Tyler Shuck is a good quarterback either. I don't believe it yet. I'll have to see it this year. He's given all the opportunity and chances to. So that's why I don't have Jordan Tyson on here either. And Makai Lemon. If A.J. Brown stays, we're not going to give 2 fucks about Makai Lemon. But I think it's pretty much certain that A.J. Brown is going to leave. So Makai Lemon will have a role, and he's going to be good at it, okay? But he plays with Jalen Hurts, which sucks. So things can go wrong for the Eagles. Casey Concepcion on the Browns. I'm not going to talk about him because he's on the Browns, and that sucks. And Denzel Boston, who I think, even though I like the name and I like drafting guys that have geographical places in their name like Drake London, Denzel Boston is not Drake London. I'm sorry. I'm seeing all these comps to Drake London. Denzel Boston is at peak Jaden Higgins on the Texans, okay? And he went to the Browns. Denzel Boston will be an okay player, and he will get playing time. He's one of those, like, low-risk, low-reward players. Like, dude, you're drafting him and he's not going to be a bust, but he's just not going to be that good, and I don't see him being that good. Hopefully he does. I loved Denzel Boston when I was watching him, but I'm sorry, I don't think I'm going to be drafting him just because of where he landed. And I really only would have drafted him if he had like a tip-top opportunity. There's already a lot of mouths to feed in Cleveland, and the guy who's feeding them is shitty. Like, by that analogy, I mean the quarterback who has to feed all the mouths is inherently going to be shitty. They have all these options, and they suck. So, enough rambling. Let's get into my favorite highest upside wide receivers in the draft. Chris Bell. Chris Bell fell in the draft because he tore his ACL late in 2025. That sucks. But the good news is it's his first time. I believe in 2026 you can come back from an ACL tear. It's not like the gasp, like, oh, he's done like it used to be. Chris Bell's going to come back from that and he's going to be okay. I'm not scared by the injury one bit. It may hinder his development, like he may not have the greatest year one because he's not attending all the rookie camps going on right now, but oh well, it's Dynasty. We're not playing to win this year. We're playing to win every year and from years in the future. So Chris Bell is a great Dynasty buy. He is a dominant force at a wide receiver. And if you notice a theme, I like the athletic guys. And I see, this is a very, very far-fetched type of comparison, but I see just a big, dominant receiver like a Michael Pittman. Maybe even A.J. Brown. But let's temper our expectations right now. And to get a guy like Michael Pittman in maybe the mid to late second round, come on, that is value right there. And his name doesn't strike, like, his name doesn't have name value. I think people, when you see him in the draft lobby, he just looks like someone you'd pass on. Like, that's just my psychology and what I'm thinking of. Like, he doesn't have a name that's very marketable or anything. It's just a random Joe Schmo name, Chris Bell. Like, who cares about Chris Bell? The dude's good, and he has the ability to be dominant, which being a dominant wide receiver or player in football gives you upside, and that is what this list is all about. These are guys that could potentially be league winners by upside. He's waltzing into the Miami Dolphins wide receiver room, which is crowded but empty. There's a lot of people there, but no one that can play. Chris Bell is automatically the best wide receiver on the Dolphins and hasn't played a single snap yet. That is how I feel about him. And no matter how long his injury takes, he's going to be the best wide receiver eventually when he gets out there. And that's amazing. And they're playing a coin flip on Malik Willis if he's actually a good quarterback or not. If Malik Willis is a good quarterback and Chris Bell is a good NFL player, you just got yourself a wide receiver one in the second round of your NFL rookie draft. Come on, you have to take that opportunity. Like I said, he is a coin flip, but he's a coin flip to be A.J. Brown, maybe. Who knows? But I'm a betting man. I'm a gambling man. I like my chances. I'll take that. That's a low risk, high reward type of deal for me. So, yeah, we fell for injury concern. Okay, talk about Chris Bell, why he's my favorite highest upside wide receiver in this draft. Next up is Ted Hurst. Kind of a weird name. You don't see a lot of guys named Ted these days. But his name is marketable. Kind of like a guy named Bill. A lot of people fell in love with Ja'Cory Crossing-Merritt because of his name. I think people are going to fall in love with Ted because of his name. That's a fun name. And you can, even if you don't have any intentions of using him, he's going to make like a fun play this season and he's going to go viral on Bleacher Report and then you can trade this guy for more than you got him for. So it's just a value pick in my opinion. But I do think he's a good NFL player. And he went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I believe, which is a very wide receiver friendly room. Mike Evans left. Chris Godwin is the ghost of his old self. They have Jalen McMillan, who's coming off a broken neck and can barely look 30 degrees to his left. Who the fuck else do they have? Tez Johnson, who is an alright player, but he's never going to be a good, like a phenomenal NFL player. He's just a role player. I mean, that's just what it is. I'm not being mean by any means. Ted Hurst is wide open, man. Tampa Bay needs a number one receiver. Egbuka? Sure. It's like, is Egbuka like amazing? No, I don't think he is, honestly. I think he's like a low ceiling, high floor player, honestly. I think they need like their new Mike Evans. Tampa Bay wants just like a stud guy that's like the highlight of the franchise. And I think they're taking a shot on Ted Hurst of being their new Mike Evans. They play nothing alike, but to be the next Mike Evans, you're not going to find another Mike Evans. So you have to find another type of player. And Ted Hurst, while he is tall and I love his body type, he's just good at football. And he's another guy that I classify as a film guy. He looks amazing when you watch his film. He got drafted high because the NFL knows how to evaluate talent. Initially in prospect boards, he was nowhere to be found, but the NFL knows what they're talking about. So they drafted him and said he's a stud, which I do believe, and I'll be taking a couple flyers on him if he falls in rookie drafts. And then last but not least is another Bell, not Chris Bell's brother, but just happened to have the same last name, Skylar Bell, which sounds like a porn star. So I like his name immediately. I think he's a guy that holds a lot of name value. Skylar Bell, to me, and I know a lot of people have said this, but dude, he could be I'm not saying he will be, but his upside has the highest ceiling. This guy, in a perfect world, is the next Ja'Marr Chase, which is like, whoa, because that's the best wide receiver in football right now. Well, Skylar Bell could be, and he has every tool to be so. He even, funny enough, looks like Ja'Marr Chase. He has the same, like, eyelid shit going on that Ja'Marr Chase has. I love it. I see it. I love everything about the landing spot with the Bills. The Bills' wide receiver room is quite frankly not amazing. They have 30-year-old DJ Moore, who's only going to get worse every season from here on out. They have Khalil Shakir, who is at best a role player and was asked to do way too much last season. When your number one receiver is Khalil Shakir, you have issues, and the Bills realize that. Shakir will get better when he has like a second or tertiary role. Skylar Bell is going to be competing directly with none more than Keon Coleman, who might be one of the worst football players I've ever laid eyes on. Keon Coleman should go back to playing basketball and he'd have a better career there. Get the fuck out of here. There's no way in hell that the Bills actually believe Keon Coleman will blossom. Yeah, he hasn't done shit for 2 years. I think there's a trend. If you look at most wide receivers, you don't see that many like late career breakouts. And even when you do, it's luck. They're not actually good. Like Juwan Jennings broke out after being shit for like the first couple years. But he's like not even a good receiver. He just like did good for a season. Like it doesn't mean he's good. Like eventually if you give a guy opportunity, you know, a blind man will catch a fish once, I think is the saying. I don't actually believe that's the saying. That was a dumbass statement. But you get my point, is eventually, like, if you keep giving Keon Coleman chances, he's going to be okay. I don't think I'll give him another chance. I've seen enough after 2 years. Get him out of here. Skylar Bell, new Ja'Marr Chase. Yes, that's who I'm talking about. Skylar Bell, the Bills wide receiver room is easy. And I think just as a receiver, this guy's routes and breaks are just so crispy. Like, it is literally, like, I get orgasms watching this guy play. And I am the straightest man alive, but his football is just beautiful to watch, and it is a thing of beauty to see. And the best thing about it is people don't know who he is. You can get him late in rookie drafts. Like, unless you're people who you're playing football with actually like watch college football, A, or B, like are like really nerdy about this shit like I am, then they're not gonna know who this is. And these guys right here, overall, these are the best guys, the highest upside guys, and these are where you need to take your shots. And this is where you can get an edge when playing fantasy football against casuals, I would say. And 90% of people who play fantasy are casuals. They don't really know. Yeah, they watch football on Sundays, but they don't really know the game, and they don't know how to evaluate talent like I and some of the other people do. So use this video as kind of your cheat sheet when it comes to drafting rookies. Shoot for the stars in this turd-ridden class, I would say. Don't just take the best guys, take your guys. This is going to be a draft where your strategy just has to be, who do you like, not who does the consensus like or whatnot. Because there's no difference between the 7th pick in this year's draft and the 30th pick in this year's draft. They're both like at a 20% hit rate in my mind. Like you're just taking dart throws. So just shoot on the targets, throw darts on the targets that you want to hit. That's all I'm saying. And these are my guys that I want to hit. And I think when the year's over, I think we can come back to this video and we can see how much I really knew how much I was talking about. So that's it for 2026. I'll be coming again with the opposite of this video for some of the losers and some of the lowest, kind of the guys that I hate. Kind of a personal, opinionated take video coming up next for the rookie draft. So that's it. I'm gonna turn this shit off. It's a long ass video, man. Good God, 45 minutes.